We are back at the Fantasy Springs Casino in Indio, California, the Coachella Valley, and we have a featherweight fight coming from you. All action expected in this one. Diego De La Hoya against Jaxel Marrero. De La Hoya 3-0, 19 years old, a cousin of Oscar De La Hoya. And there you see him. He said his whole life, all he wanted to do was fight. Not just because of the name. He said he just loves boxing. His opponent across the corner from Corazon, Puerto Rico, Jaxel Marrero, 1-1-1 in his career. He said the only loss he had was because his trainer wasn't there. His trainer is here with him tonight, and he feels confident. He doesn't think that he's coming up against just to be an opponent.
And as you can see, we said there weren't any babies amongst these heavyweights tonight. Well, in terms of professional experience, we got a baby in there now, Diego De La Hoya, but he's very exciting. He is learning the game on the go. As you see, he's only 19 years old. Not that Marrero is a grizzled veteran by any means. The thing about Diego is that I like is that he throws punches in bunches. He's very fast-handed, and he will let those hands of his go, and he'll try to get his man out of there as soon as he can. And he's got that magic name, and they've already got their own logo too, which I really like.
Hey, like I told you earlier tonight, Rich, it's about branding. Let's go up to our ring announcer, Joe Martinez.
To go with the next bout tonight, this special attraction is scheduled for 6 rounds in the featherweight division. Brought to you by Golden Boy Promotions with our sponsors Corona Extra, La Cerveza Más Fina, and O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day. The 3 judges scoring this bout at ringside: Raul Kais Jr., Max DeLuca, and Hall of Famer Marty Dankin. And with the bell rings, your referee in charge of the action, Thomas Taylor. Introducing to you first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing red trunks trimmed in black, he weighed in officially 122.5 pounds. His professional record stands even with 1 victory, 1 defeat, and 1 draw. De Corazon, Puerto Rico, here is Jaxel Marrero. And next his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the colors of Mexico, green, white, and red. He weighed in officially 124 pounds even, and as a young professional is perfect in the ring. 3 bouts, no losses, all 3 wins coming by way of knockout. Presentado el invicto puro Chicane de Mexicali, Baja California, Mexico, Diego De La Hoya.
Boxer Chief second. Boxer Chief second. Let's go, Diego. Gentlemen, you got your instructions back in the dressing room. I'll remind you, protect yourselves at all times and listen to my commands. Touch them up, back to your corner. Good, Max. Good.
Diego
Marty,
De La Hoya.
Mark,
We go from
good.
the big boy, the big heavyweights, to the featherweight.
You might be shocked by the
Eddie.
difference in hand speed
Good.
here.
We go from the heavyweights to now Diego De La Hoya in the corners, weighing 124. Jaxel Marrero, 122.5, officially listed. The 2 fighters in the ring. De La Hoya, his trunks, the color of Mexico, green and white stripes. Marrero, black and red.
You see on the back of Diego's trunks, it says Mexicali. I asked him if he knew Jorge Paez. He goes, oh yeah, he knows both the kid Paez, he knows the dad, he knows the whole family down there in Mexicali. Paez used to rule Mexicali.
El Maro Mero Paez. Yeah, you talk about foreign fights earlier with Chavez, one of the ones with Paez.
They were crazy.
Diego De La Hoya at the age of 19. And with a big knockdown right away. First overhand right knocks down Jaxel Marrero. Here in the opening seconds of the fight.
Okay?
Whoa.
First fight outside of Puerto Rico, and that was not too good of a welcome to California.
And he blesses himself as he gets back up. De La Hoya 3-0, 3 KOs. Marrero, he said he's been down once before in his career, but he got back up. Felt the power of Diego De La Hoya. De La Hoya with a heavy right hand. De La Hoya decided to turn pro. He said he wanted to be an Olympian, but he didn't want to wait the 4 years of 2016 in Brazil. And why go through the amateur ranks, get hit, risk injury when you could be a pro and make some money.
By the way, Diego's trained by Joel Diaz, trainer of Timothy Bradley and a number of stars in a growing galaxy that Joel has. A very fine trainer.
Yeah, here in the desert. That must be nice when you have Joel Diaz in your corner and you look across the gym and there's Timothy Bradley.
He says Bradley's provided him some nice advice along the way. Interesting that Diego hasn't gone crazy here. After that knockdown, he hasn't gone wild, which you would see a lot of kids who have his lack of experience in the professional ranks, just 3 fights, have an opportunity after that knockdown to perhaps finish the fight in round 1, but he's come out, he's gone right back to his fundamental game plan here.
De La Hoya said he started boxing at the age of 8, and he was never really teased in school. Because when you go to school and they know you're a De La Hoya, nobody really challenged him. Nice left hook from De La Hoya. Because they knew that he was a boxer and he had some power behind him, as Marrero found out early in this round. Hoya, as you said, Rich, nice and calm. Picking his spots.
Now, although he has had 3 professional fights, he did have about 250 amateur fights.
Whoa.
So he is well-schooled, well-grounded.
Stop at the bell, gentlemen.
Good first round for Diego De La Hoya. Knocks down Marrero with a big overhand right. The first round comes to a close.
Shocking moment, round 1. I think it came about 17 seconds in, straight right, beautifully thrown. Crossed right over his own left jab, right between the gloves, and a shocking little knockdown suffered by Jaxel Marrero.
Both feet in the air. That's some power behind that big right hand from Diego De La Hoya.
Well, I just like the way it was thrown. It was thrown really nicely. Good 1-2. Jab was out there keeping Marrero busy, and the right crossed right over it.
Tonight's CompuBox stats are brought to you by ThrowdownFantasy.com. Draft fighters, track stats, and win.
By the way, Jesse Reed, the trainer of Skip Scott, told me between fights that he is going to appeal that ruling by referee Lou Moret. Wanted a disqualification or at least some extra time, calling a foul and some extra time for his fighter. And I you know, honestly, I think he has a point. I mean, Scott was clearly down.
Had a knee down. Then Washington landed a shot. And Marrero walked over. Diego De La Hoya and Jaxel Marrero, Mexico against Puerto Rico.
Watch your heads.
Marrero 1-1-1 in his career. Said that, asked him what his style was, he said he was a brawler. He really hasn't shown the brawling style after that big knockdown in the first.
No, we haven't seen a display when he really lets those hands go. He likes to let them fly.
Marrero, 22, said he had 60 to 65 amateur fights. Started fighting at the age of 13 in Puerto Rico. Has a 2-year-old daughter. That's his inspiration. De La Hoya works him on the ropes.
Diego, although he's only 19, you know, for a fighter in Mexico, that is really not
By that
young.
time, you've had 100 fights already, right?
That is not young.
Usually.
I remember Marco Antonio Barrera starting at 15. A lot of Mexican fighters turned professional at a much earlier age than did Diego.
Well, if you have a chance to make some money as a pro, why not? Well, Canelo Alvarez started.
Guys, watch your heads.
Mexican fighters. You have a chance, collect that check, and go out there and pad your record. De La Hoya now lives in Calexico, moved from Mexicali, and trained in camp here in Coachella. Nice hook from De La Hoya.
That one just a grazing, and I tell you, it had a lot of power in it.
Overhand right. Good combination from De La Hoya.
Yeah, there's the flurry that I was expecting. A little more of that.
Stop at the bell,
Diego
gentlemen.
De La Hoya, Jaxel Marrero. Second round, coming to a close.
All right, let's say.
Third round between Diego De La Hoya from Mexicali, Mexico against Jaxel Marrero. And in that corner, Joel Diaz, De La Hoya's trainer, was telling him work the body.
Well, I think he wants him to move. He wants Marrero to move his hands. You know, he's telling him basically, if you work the body a little, those hands will come down. You might find some openings up above.
De La Hoya knocked down Marrero in the first round with a big overhand right. He has a flurry. Marrero was on the ropes. De La Hoya comes in, doubles on the left. Marrero gets off the ropes. Good left jab from De La Hoya. Marrero, ever since that knockdown, Rich, he continues to just move away. As De La Hoya working the body. Marrero holds on.
Yeah, I'll tell you though, he's in a tough spot, of course, Marrero. I mean, he comes here obviously as a foil for Diego De La Hoya. You know, Diego's just starting what they feel will be a very brilliant career. And as you can see him mixing up his punches there, that's what he did. That's what Joel Diaz was referring to. And of course, everything's kind of against him. It's his first fight outside of Puerto Rico, and he gets knocked down in the first 15 seconds of the fight. It's tough to recover from that kind of a situation, Beto.
And then you go up against a fighter who has the name De La Hoya, who you know all about. And who is Jaxel Marrero's favorite fighter? It's not going to be De La Hoya. Miguel Cotto. Cotto, Trinidad, some great Puerto Rican fighters. And we're going to be in Puerto Rico at the end of the month in Bayamon, taking the road trip. There's De La Hoya with a nice flurry up on top.
Yeah, De La Hoya mixing it up better, I think, in this round. Body and head, throwing more punches, starting to get the exchanges going.
Going to the body. De La Hoya saying all he ever wanted to do is just be a boxer. Asked him any other sports? He's like, no, not really, but I do like the Águilas, the baseball team down in Mexicali.
Very good.
He doesn't play it, but he goes, I go for the Águilas. Good jab there from De La Hoya. And then you see in Puerto Rico, the Coliseo Ruben Rodriguez in Bayamon, Michael Perez against Jorge Romero, April 28th.
I've got to tell you, I've done some fights in Puerto Rico, and it's always such an electric atmosphere. I love it down there. Well, it's beautiful anyway, but I mean, I love to be doing fights there because I love that electricity in the arenas.
And here you have the Mexican against the Puerto Rican, and those two, whenever you have those nationalities going after each other in the ring, it's always fireworks. Joe De La Hoya, Jaxel Marrero. Scheduled for 6. As De La Hoya continue, looks good
Stop
here.
the bell, gentlemen.
Closing seconds of the third round. And in between rounds, Joel Diaz was telling his fighter Diego De La Hoya, who's managed by Hoya De La Hoya, Oscar's brother, that Marrero is here to run, Rich. That he's not trying to beat you, he's just trying to survive.
I think there's some validity to that. And he's doing a pretty good job of surviving. As I said, you know, it's kind of stacked against him here, and he knows it. But that said, Beto, he has not folded up.
No.
And he did not give up after suffering that early knockdown. Now, as you can see from the punch stats, he really hasn't landed much at all in this fight. Certainly nothing to trouble Diego De La Hoya.
De La Hoya with a big white right. Working more action from De La Hoya this round.
By the way, I want to mention, since I was talking about that atmosphere down in Puerto Rico for fights, this particular venue here at the Fantasy Springs has really become a terrific stop on the boxing tour, the boxing calendar. It's been having great fights. This is a very good room here, a beautiful arena for boxing. They always get good crowds here. They're enthusiastic. I enjoy coming here, and I think fighters do too.
Yeah, it's a great venue. You're right on top of the fighters, and especially in the Coachella Valley when you have Timothy Bradley's, Joel Diaz's gym, and it's always an atmosphere. It's always electric, and people are on top. And it's one of the things where, especially tonight, it's a little different though with the night of the heavyweights. Well, obviously right now we're seeing the featherweights, but you have the big heavyweights on the card. You heard the excitement when Gallo Negro came in, with Dominic Brazil, his fight. It's a great place to be and watch a fight.
Now, some good combination punching there. I do like the way Diego's mixing it up. In his combinations, he is going body and head.
Good job.
Diego De La Hoya, 3-0. Each of his fight has been
Last one.
some of a knockout. His last fight back in February, first round knockout, and here he has Marrero on the ropes. He's able to escape. Diego likes keeping fighters on the ropes.
You know, Marrero actually does have some skills in here. I mean, especially defensively. He's getting away, evading some of those punches, finds Like when he was up against the ropes there, he managed to spin out of there and avoid trouble.
Marrero went down in the first round. Told us that he started boxing because he liked it, because he was always a peleonero, as they call him in Spanish, a big fighter. He shakes off a big left from De La Hoya. He said, I was fighting because my mom didn't like it, so I kept on fighting. Here he's in a tough one against Diego De La Hoya. 19-year-old from Mexicali, Mexico. 10 seconds to go as De La Hoya continues to work him on the ropes. We head to the fourth. Jessica Rosales.
Talking to Marrero's corner, they said without a doubt De La Hoya is the toughest opponent that he has faced to date. They were saying that Marrero out there just doesn't want to let go and really isn't himself. And when I asked what do they mean by that, they said he sees De La Hoya as somebody who's stronger than him and he's just not really wanting to exchange with him. They see him kind of timid out there, so they're trying to talk to him, telling him to break out of his shell, and they want him to really fight back. And like you guys said earlier, right now it looks like he's just trying to survive to the end because he doesn't want to get KO'd.
Well, he really hasn't thrown a lot of punches. There hasn't been much offense, Jessica, and I think that's what they want to get out of him.
Fifth round, scheduled for 6, the longest, or the farthest that Diego De La Hoya has gone in his career. All 3 of his fights have been 3 rounds or less. 2 of those knockouts were in the first round. So here, in the 5th, getting some ring experience. Big right from De La Hoya in the Mexicali colors. Green, white, and red, even down to the boots.
Listen, he can go, if he loses his fight in a decision, he'll feel proud of himself walking out of here. And he can go back to Puerto Rico with his head held high. He went the distance with Diego De La Hoya, who knocked out all of his previous opponents. And really, since the first knockdown, Beto, he hasn't come close to being down again.
No, he doesn't look like a fighter who's been in danger or a fighter who's scared at all. He's in there mixing it up. Big right from De La Hoya, follows with another left. Good combination from Diego De La Hoya all night. There he is, Marrero on the ropes. Continues with that flurry of combos. This time, Marrero's coming in. Diego De La Hoya, impressive amateur career, over 250 fights. And he has a big mix here. Big right hand, big left hand against Marrero.
Now, Diego's getting very bold here now. He doesn't feel that there's anything that Marrero can do to trouble him.
And the mouthpiece did fly out. I saw something fly. I didn't know what it was, Rich, of one of the punches. And it was the mouthpiece that went flying.
That'll actually get a few seconds respite here for Marrero, which he really needs because Diego De La Hoya has opened it up in this round. De La Hoya does not respect any kind of punching power from Marrero, so he's just walking in.
He hasn't been hit that hard at all tonight by Marrero. Good stiff jab by Diego De La Hoya. Talk about his amateur experience, over 250 fights. He even has a win over, in 2011, over 2008 Mexican Olympian Oscar Valdez, who's a promising prospect.
It's a nice notch on the ledger.
Yeah, De La Hoya, 2011 Mexico National Amateur Champion. So we talk about the experience, only 19, but he does have that amateur background. And he just looks good here. You mentioned it. He doesn't look like he's respecting anything Marrero has or his punching power. And he's just going right up at him.
Even in the first half of this round, he was walking in with his left hand held very low. Love the body punching when he mixes that in. I think if a little bit more of that, and he perhaps could get Marrero out of there.
Good combination again as blood is starting to splatter from Marrero as the mouthpiece goes out again for the second round. This one on the uppercut. Referee De La Hoya is working Marrero on the ropes. Marrero shakes his head no. De La Hoya with a big right. As referee is going to stop it and get him his mouthpiece that went flying. Referee Thomas Taylor.
Usually they wait for a respite in the action, but there really wasn't one.
The mouthpiece is back in. De La Hoya prowling as the round closes. Good 5th round from Diego De La Hoya. Knocks out the mouth.
Hey all, John Ramdeen here.
A stop in the action, which really never came, so he finally just called it at that point.
It doesn't look like he was spinning that mouthpiece out. It was just clean shots that were landing on him. 6th and final round coming your way. Diego De La Hoya, Jaxel Marrero, Mexico against Puerto Rico. from the Fantasy Springs Casino in Indio, California. See referee Thomas Taylor.
Now come here. Give me go. Let's go. Box.
If you might have seen that the break between rounds was a little long. That's because, for those of you not familiar with the rules in California, when the doctor comes into the ring, they will stop the clock. And at that point, while the doctor does his own examination, and then they will start it again when the doctor relinquishes control of the corner back to the corner man, so that the corner man can then administer his own advice or treatment to the fighter.
Oh, well, Diaz was telling his fighter, Diego De La Hoya, to finish him here. In between rounds, De La Hoya coming out. He's just cocking that right hand back, Rich.
I think he's interested in doing just what Joel said.
3-0, 3 knockouts. Trying to make it 4-0 with 4 knockouts. There he has Marrero on the ropes, where De La Hoya has kept him almost all of the fight.
Diego said when he was much younger that it was a big event in the family when Oscar would fight, and there'd be the big crowds over at the house. It was party time.
Diego De La Hoya trying to have his own party right now. 6th round, 6th and final round. Doesn't look like a 19-year-old. Nice right from De La Hoya. That right has been strong all night. Now works the body. Diego De La Hoya, 19-year-old, Jaxel Marrero. De La Hoya just at ease. Knocked down Marrero early in the first round, a big overhand right. Since there has been in control of the fight the entire time.
And you know, Beto, I think that might have changed the tenor of the way the fight would have gone, and the way that Marrero's own willingness to engage and exchange. But I think that first knockdown in round 1, 15 seconds into the fight, I think it really shocked him. And you know, from then on, he wanted to, you know, get in there and do the best he could defensively.
Marrero telling us he's a brawler. We never really saw that from him.
No.
De La Hoya, skilled boxer here. Snaps back the head of Marrero, who shakes it off as no, which means yes. De La Hoya puts another flurry. Marrero shakes the head again, no. As De La Hoya comes in, less than 30 seconds to go in the fight.
Stop.
The two tangle up in the corner.
Of course, I'd hate to take a tough beating like he did in that last round, go back to the corner and have the just get chewed out the way that he was by his trainer.
10 seconds to go in the fight. De La Hoya looking good tonight, trying to finish the fight with a flurry. Diego De La Hoya looking good, the 19-year-old puts up a nice fight tonight against Jaxel Marrero.
Thanks, man.
This season, Saturday baseball comes to Fox Sports 1, and it all starts this week with a doubleheader. Twins, Indians, and then the Giants battle the Dodgers. Fox Sports 1 is your home for baseball every Saturday.
All right, I don't think there's going to be any doubt about which way this fight is going to go. A shutout victory for Diego De La Hoya, no doubt. But there in the first round was the highlight of the fight. A straight right hand crossing over his own left jab by Diego De La Hoya to score that knockdown. Well thrown, nicely done. And from then on, Diego dominated the fight. He picked it up as the fight went along. Obviously, Marrero went into a defensive mode after that, and here you see him just basically trying to avoid whatever punches he could, see if he could survive the fight, which he did. The fight went on. Diego started looking a little bit more for maybe the knockout in the last couple of rounds than he did earlier in the fight, when we said he was very calm after that first knockdown. He did knock out the mouthpiece of Marrero twice in that 5th round, and then in the 6th round, basically cemented the victory with some very eye-catching type flurries, which the crowd enjoyed.
Tonight's CompuBox stats are brought to you by ThrowdownFantasy.com. Draft fighters, track stats, and win.
And well, what can you say about that? It's pretty much a wipeout in terms of the numbers there.
Let's go to the ring with our announcer, Joe Martinez.
right, after 6 rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards, and all 3 judges scored the same, 60-53 for your winner by unanimous decision. Se mantiene invicto and still undefeated, the Golden Kid, Diego de la Hoya.
4-0, and a nice little learning lesson as he learns how to go the distance for the first time.
And coming up, our main event, Luis King Kong Ortiz against Monty Barrett.